So you're gonna have a mixture of both older products and products that launched this year. These videos do tend to get pretty long, so for those of you that are in a hurry, I have everything in timestamps down below, and of course you can get the list of products also down below, including the affiliates if you want to support my channel. For those of you that are just in for the ride, sit back, relax, have a cup of coffee, and chill out with me. For each category, I wanted to try to get the best. So I wanted to have one product as a recommendation, but for most categories, I do have an honorable mention. I'm gonna start with skincare first. The best skincare that I tried this year is this one by Violetta R. This is the Boum-Boum Milk. This one contains bird sap, which is something that my skin seems to really enjoy. And it's one of those odd multifunctional products where it's a toner, a moisturizer, a serum, all wrapped up into one little like big thing. If you're someone that wants to minimize your skincare collection and you just want to get some good products, this is actually a great one to look into. I have combination skin, and both my oily and my normal zone seems to really enjoy whatever this is. I'm usually very skeptical on multifunctional products, but this one is such a good innovative formula. I really enjoyed it. This is the smaller size, but you can get a big refill packet. I think I am gonna get the refill because I have been enjoying this so much. My honorable mention for this category is the Lisa Eldridge cleanser. It's sort of like a double cleanse all wrapped up into one. I really enjoyed it, but this one beat it out of the park for me. I will repurchase this one, whereas I don't know if I'll repurchase the Lisa Eldridge one, but the multifunctional products have really been sort of a, you know, in hindsight, a trend for my skincare routine. Another great multifunctional product and my best primer is this one. This is an SPF and primer all wrapped up into one. This is by Tilbury, the SPF 50 PA+++ Invisible UV Flawless Primer. This is such a good SPF option. So if you're into sunscreens and you are looking for a sunscreen that seeps out into the skin, wears well underneath makeup, leaves no white cast, this is a great one. I also really like this as a primer because it's so pore blurring. It really has that flawless filter aspect that Charlotte Tilbury is sort of known for. She has some really good flawless products, and this one is an underrated workhorse in my opinion. People do not talk about this product enough. This is a great product. I think the big con is, of course, the price. So getting this on a sale to me is a must-have, especially if you want to use it as your SPF option, because I burn through my sunscreens because I use about 2 finger lengths of sunscreen every single time. So this one is almost empty, and I will definitely repurchase this one. Non-makeup recommendation for this year is going to be these brushes by BK Beauty. I have a set for face brushes and eye brushes. I want to do a dedicated review on them, so I'm not going to talk about them too much, but I've really been enjoying all of my BK Beauty brushes so much, and you'll see them in probably the demo as well. So if you see me using a brush, there's probably going to be a BK Beauty brush. Now, as I mentioned, I am going through a divorce. I'm also aging and my preferences are changing, and I noticed that I haven't really enjoyed any foundations. I've been gearing more towards skin tints, and even skin tints I sometimes just forgo and go in with a primer and then a concealer. Another great product by Charlotte Tilbury that's not talked about enough is this product, the Unisex Healthy Glow. This is an odd product. It has been out for years. I finally wanted to try it because I love the Chantecaille Bronze Anti-Aging Bronze tint so much. You've probably seen me rave about it in the past 2 years. And this is their kind of version of that. I think because it's marketed also to men, so as a unisex product, it comes out white. But then when you rub it out, it becomes this warm tint. I believe this is marketed as a moisturizing tint, so not even a full-on skin tint. There is a tiny bit of coverage. I wouldn't really say there is any, but maybe like tiny bit, like sheer amount. And it's mostly a bronze tone, and I've been really going for that bronze tint lately. This one is great. I can do an entire video like this one versus the Chantecaille one, but I'll keep it short. I like it because it looks very natural on the skin. It's just my skin, but a little bronzier, and it is, again, very pore filtering, so it's giving me that flawless skin that I really enjoy. I have been using it for the entire year. It's almost finished, and I would repurchase it. I also like that this one doesn't come in a jar like the Chantecaille one. An honorable mention for like bronze primer tints is the Victoria Beckham Beauty Self Rejuvenating Primer. that she did with Augustinus Bader, specifically in the golden shade. I really like this primer. I tried it in 2022 for the first time in December, so I didn't actually include it in my video last year, and therefore I want to make it an honorable mention for this video because I have really been enjoying it, and I even repurchased it. It's a little expensive for my taste, so I'm not sure if I will always have it in my collection, but getting it on a sale was definitely the right way to go, and I enjoy it more than the, for example, Yves Skin Nova, which was my last year's favorite. For concealers, I have two concealers that I want to talk about. One of them is my favorite. So my favorite one is this YSL Touche Éclat High Coverage Concealer in the shade Ivory. Comes in a very travel-friendly like pen size. It has a brush tip. It says it's high coverage, but I would consider this a light to medium coverage, and it is basically creaseless. It's one of the best concealers I've ever tried. I've been moving away from high coverage concealers or even medium coverage concealers because my base has been so minimal. It's really odd. If you do a high coverage concealer, you can really look like a reverse raccoon effect. I wanted a concealer that fit my new routine, and this one is a beautiful one. Because I like this one so much, I decided to buy the YSL All Hours concealer as well. This is a launch of this year, a very comparable formula, but I actually would say that this is more of a light coverage, maybe buildable to a medium. I would consider this more of a light coverage. As you can tell from my under eyes right now, I put the high coverage concealer from YSL on this side and the All Hours on this side, and they wear beautifully, but one of them has a little bit more coverage. I actually like the doe foot on this one a little bit better. This one is quite difficult to open because it's so smooth. It needs a little bit more texture for me to be able to open and close it easily. Packaging wise, I actually like this one better, but formula wise, I really like this one, the YSL Touche Éclat High Coverage Concealer, so the one with the black band. For powder, I only have one powder that I want to recommend for this year. It's a launch of this year as well, and I got mine in a travel size because I'm actually not a loose powder girl. I love pressed powders. That's just my jam. But everybody was talking about the Givenchy Prisme Libre powder, and I got mine in the shade Satin Blanc. So this is going to be the more, natural colored option, so not very brightening. I really love this powder. This is such a good powder if you want to blur any of your pores. It's soft, it's like it's a veil on the skin. It's beautiful for setting the under eyes, but it's also beautiful to just go over it as a finishing powder. It's one of the best powders that I've ever tried, no joke. It's definitely worth all the hype that's been getting online. Highly recommend, and if you are also like me and you don't want to have the chunky, like big powder packaging, get the travel size because this is going to take me a while to finish. Let's talk cream complexion products next. One of my favorite products of this year in general, and my favorite contour product of this year, are these contour Stylus by Victoria Beckham Beauty. I have them in two shades. I have a dedicated review on them, but I specifically like these because they're very blendable, and of course they come into a stylo format, so doing your nose contour, for example, has just been made easier. You don't have to fuss around with a brush. You can just apply it where you want it, blend it out, and it looks seamless every single time. When I bought these, I remember thinking like, oh, they're so expensive for how much product you get, and I had a hard time recommending these, and sometimes I have that with Victoria Beckham Beauty, same for the primer. Everything is so expensive, but they're pretty good. Like consistently, the brand has been putting out some good products, and these contour Stylus are no different. This is something that I use on a weekly basis. I don't wear a lot of makeup anymore, so there are non-makeup days as well. But on a weekly basis, I still pull for these, and both these shades, Travertine and Marble, they work for me fine. I love having both of them in my collection. Look at my dedicated review if you want to see them. For contour powder, I don't really have a dedicated one, but one that I enjoy using as a sort of contour option on top of my contour products is this bronzer by Mcgrath. Mcgrath Labs came out with bronzers this year, and I got mine in the shade Nude Honey. This is quite, hard pressed into the pan, and Nude Honey is definitely the shade that I want to recommend for anyone that's looking for a more neutral bronzing option, so not too warm toned. This is a really beautiful shade and a good formulation as well. There's a little bit of a skin-like finish to it, but it's mainly matte, and it used to have a really beautiful like crown embossing, but mine is almost completely gone. So I've been going over my contouring cream to make it last longer with this powder, like on my nose for example. You actually see it gives a very natural look to the skin, especially because I'm quite warm toned. I don't like to have contour powders that are too cool toned either. Like even though like contour should be cool toned, if it's too cool toned, it looks gray on my skin. So this is a great contour powder option if you're my skin tone. For an honorable mention for contour products, I have the EYESHADOW bronzer, I believe in the shade Riveting. It's like the third deepest shade. It's a beautiful contour product, even though it's marketed as a bronzer. It's also a really nice bronzing option if you're a deeper skin tone, but as a contour product, it's very comparable to the Charlotte Tilbury like contour one that they have in terms of color. That's a beautiful product as well. It sort of didn't make the cut purely because it is very pigmented. So if you're looking for a good pigmented, organic, sustainable, clean option, EYESHADOW is such a good brand for that. And if you're a more like high coverage person, I think that that's a beautiful product to contour with. In terms of bronzers, I have two cream bronzers that I wanted to recommend, but I think the best one that I tried is this one by Chanel. This is a reformulation of their original Soleil Tan de Chanel. I got mine in shade 390, so the lightest shade, and I've been really enjoying this. This gives you a beautiful filtered pore blurring effect. It's more of a matte, so it applies like a cream and it ends up being more like a powder. I like this because there are some peach tones in this for some reason, and this is a bronzer that I can wear all year round and it looks good all year round. It's easy to apply, it doesn't over apply. It does have a fragrance, so if you're not into that, then maybe this is not the option for you. It's in a travel format, so not the bigger version but a smaller version, so it's great for me. I can't deny that this was sort of like a rekindling of a flame, like a love that I used to have for the Soleil Tan de Chanel. That was this one. The honorable mention I wanted to have is the Tower 28 bronzer, the Sculptino. I use it as a bronzer. I don't know why it's called a Sculptino. It's way too warm. But as a bronzing option, very beautiful, much more of a balmy formulation than the Chanel one. And that one is good for a low makeup day, more skin finish, sheer coverage, and it doesn't really like melt down into the skin. I would say that for drier skin types, that is a really good option. For powder bronzer, I have one, my favorite one. I haven't been able to stop using this one. I use this one almost on a daily basis, and it's this one by Libre and Rouje. First of all, look at the packaging. Iconic, absolutely lovely. And then you have the bronzer. Start with what I don't like about this bronzing option is it only comes in one shade. So that's kind of annoying. I wish that they made more shades for more people, but this specific universal shade is such a good one for me. This one gives you a skin-like finish, almost a little bit of a glow, but I definitely would say it's more of a skin-like finish. It gives me warmth, it's easy to apply, it never looks muddy, it looks great on the skin, and I would say this is comparable to the Beauty Butter Bronzer by Westman Atelier, but this is not like buttery, like emollient infused. This is a powder option. It's just super stunning. Like I said, there's a bit of a sheen in here, making it a skin-like finish. This swashes absolutely horribly, but it looks great on the skin. It doesn't over apply, and I have been loving this one. Okay, for blushes, I only have one cream that I can recommend, but I have two liquid options. I just couldn't narrow it down. So the cream blush that I love this year, absolutely love, is this one by Violette of Art. This is the Bisou blush in the shade Louise. This is a matte cream blush, and it also comes with a brush on the other side. So the blush on one side, it's actually marbled, but since I've used it, you can't really see the marbling, and there's a brush on the other side. I don't often use the brush. This blush color is just what I enjoy, the kind of like muted nude pink that you can use for every single day. Now this is a sheer version of Mimi by Westman Atelier. This one basically blends itself, and because of the marbling, there's a little bit of a sheen to it. So I haven't been using any highlighters. There's not going to be any highlighters in this video, but having a blush that kind of does a little bit of both has really been, the way to go for me. So this is a perfect cream blush option in my opinion, and pretty long wearing if you ask me. If we're going to go for solid long wearing high pigmented blush options, then I would go with the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk Beauty ones, Matte Beauty Blush ones. Oh, they always have such long names. Specifically the shade Pillow Talk, another one that is a great muted pink option for every single day. My only problem with this one is I don't really like the wand packaging. I do think it gets quite dirty. You can even see it on the back. It has spilled a little bit, and therefore it has muddled up some of my other makeup products. Another great liquid blush option was this one. Both of these launched this year. So this is the shade Virtue by Rare Beauty of their, iconic liquid blushes. I tried to demo this one because this is such a beautiful shade. Both of these shades are so beautiful and have been staples in my collection for this year. This one is much warmer toned, but still a great everyday option. There are a lot of reviews out there. I did some dedicated reviews on both of these, so if you really wanted to know my deep thoughts on these, you can still get everything I talk about on this channel. You can get it in other reviews. The best powder blush I tried this year is this one by Dior. This is the Rosy Glow blush in the shade Rosewood. They reformulated these blushes this year, and they did an extension of the shades, and one of the extended shades was this color in the shade Rosewood. Like I said, I like these blushes that are kind of like, everyday, have a little bit of a beige tones in it. And this is a very sheer blush that also has sort of like a highlighting property infused in it. It's really hard to over apply this one. And if you're going for sheer coverage, this is a really great everyday option. And I've been wearing this on the eyes, on the cheeks, just everywhere. I love a good monochromatic look. And I've really just been enjoying this and pulling for this. And thank God, because it's quite expensive. If you're not into this blush formulation because it's such like hard press into the pan and you want more pigment, my honorable mention for blushes is going to be the Westman Atelier Petal Blush, so the powder version Petal Blush. I did a review on the Le Etoile set. That's a really great option if you like this type of rose tone blush because the shades are very comparable. Before we move on to eyes, I want to take a moment to thank you guys all so much for using my affiliate links this year, subscribing, engaging, commenting, just anything that you guys have done. It really helped my channel out so much. I actually got PR this year for the first time. I have been able to do sort of self-sponsored reviews by using the affiliate money that you guys have given me. So I really want to say thank you. My divorce has really set me back financially as well. And because of you guys, I got to continue on reviewing this year, and I really recognize all of that. So thank you all so much for your support. And if you are new here and you've liked so far the products that you've seen on my channel, consider subscribing. I want to have an honest beauty channel, and I like reviewing both big luxury houses, but also more niche brands like Libre and Rouje. I'm not necessarily a makeup maximalist, but I'm definitely not a minimalist either, and I love reviewing makeup. So if that is something that you enjoy and you want to dive into some of these rabbit holes with me, please consider subscribing. Anyway, let's move on to eyes. Usually I do a separate video with eyeshadow palettes and single shadows. Now I want to infuse it all in one video because I haven't been using a lot of eyeshadow palettes. Single shadows is definitely where I have really shined. And I noticed when I was doing the swatches that all of them are basically versions of a brown. So it's gonna be a little boring, but I did decide to have an option for stick shadow. I wanted to have a cream pot shadow option, a liquid shadow, and a powder shadow for single shadow options. So let's get into it. My first one, Victoria Beckham Beauty Eyewears. The Victoria Beckham Beauty Eyewears I specifically really love. Trench is the easiest color for me to work with. If I want to do a no or low makeup day, but I do want to cover the veins around my eyes or just discoloration, Trench has been a great option just to throw on and then go in with some mascara. One that is a little bit harder to work with because it's the driest one out of all of them is called Beckham, but I have been enjoying using this one on the outside corners of my eye and blending it out with my finger, and the warmth of my finger makes it easier to blend. If you are an oily girl, stick shadows, cream shadows, I would stay away from those. I have very oily eyelids and eventually everything creases on me. These stick shadows have a good longevity. I would say about 6 to 8 hours. I noticed I did an 8-hour day lately in the winter time and they held up pretty well. very minimal creasing without a primer. But if I want to have a like no creasing kind of fantasy, I would definitely go for a liquid shadow. A liquid shadow that I could recommend for this year that I tried are these U Paints by Violette of R, and these are very pigmented. I recently did a video on like French beauty brands that I enjoy, so you can see this in its full action. This is the shade To Do, and it's my favorite shade that I tried. It's a matte shade, but they also have the twinkling shadows, and these are long wearing and high pigmented, so they're not really for beginners. I would say this is definitely for someone that knows their way around a liquid shadow. You really have to tap off or like take off a lot of the product before you apply it on the eyes, or go in with a brush with a soft hand, because these can just go on forever and ever. This has a lot of warm tones in it, a little bit of rosy tones in it, so actually if you're doing a rose tone look, this is a really nice option to put in the outside corners of the crease. Liquid options if you're an oily girl. The Violette of RU paints not only have a very beautiful packaging, but they have a really nice color range as well, where you can go for beautiful purples, which I did purchase. I also have a blue, but you can also go for these colors that are a bit more wearable. Also, I did a video of my best of 2023 so far, and I use these as a liner, so they're also great for liquid lining, and they stay put all day. For cream potted shadows, I got one in PR from Merit. These are the solo shadows, and specifically the shade Mid-Century is the one that I want to recommend. This is a really beautiful, best for everyday shade. Now this can crease a little bit on me. They do set down pretty well, and they crease in about the like 4 to 6 hour mark on me. The best way to therefore use these is to do a wash of color like I did today. So I've had mine on for quite some time, and as you can see, there is a tiny bit of creasing on this side, but it still looks very good. I love these as a one and done shadow. And I want to thank Merit for sending me one of these together with the brush, the number 2 brush. Number 2 brush is okay, it's very travel friendly, but specifically the shade Mid-Century I have been enjoying a lot, and I can see myself wearing it more and more. The only product in here that I don't think I've featured on my channel, or maybe just in a short, is this one by Chanel. They came out with these loose pigments. They had a few different colors, and you know, everything in me says that I should not enjoy these because they're so messy, there's fallout, they're hard to use, and like it's such an unassuming shadow as well. I have mine in shade Sycamore, so it really looks like nothing, but in its simplicity, this can look so beautiful on the eyes. It's just, I don't know what it is, but my eyes seem to love this because it's maybe so close to my skin color. It looks like my eyes just decorated a little bit, or just naturally very beautiful and soft focused. It's beautiful. I put it all over my eyelids before I put on a shimmer to show you guys what this looks like. I've really been enjoying this a lot. So the shade Sycamore from this range, I've enjoyed this so much that I don't even care about how messy the application is. Then for eyeshadow palettes, this is usually a huge category that people talk about, and usually a big category for me as well, but I have been wearing a lot less eyeshadow palettes this year. I did try some really good ones. I have one big palette in front of me that I want to talk about, and a small palette. So let's first talk about this small palette that I tried that I loved this year. Probably the one that I use the most. It's this YSL Mini Clutch palette in the shade Stora Doll, so 100. This is a beautiful brown neutral toned eyeshadow palette, and this is my first time really understanding what slurry shadows are. So these are very soft in pigment, and you feel them, they feel like they are butter. It is such a beautiful like luxury formula to have. I really enjoy this colorway. You know, it looks good every single time. The shimmer in this, so this one, just impeccable on the eyelids, not too shimmery, but like still gives a lot of impact, a good matte to really blend out. They basically blend themselves out on the eyes. And the packaging, how cute is this? This is a beautiful eyeshadow palette. If you're into luxury shadows and you haven't tried this formulation yet, I highly suggest you consider buying one of these. They have some good shades and shadows out there. The other palette, Caspa Spices, is actually on my wish list, but since I've been wearing so little eyeshadow palettes, I feel like I'm not allowed to buy more eyeshadow palettes and maybe declutter some. But this one, yeah, definitely probably the best eyeshadow palette that I tried this year. I guess an honorable mention for this category is this one by Makeup by Mario. I this year bought the Ethereal Eyes palette, the limited edition palette of last year. I was upset that I didn't get it last year, and I was pining over it for an entire year. Since I'm a small palette lover, I usually don't gravitate towards these bigger shadows, and therefore I didn't even purchase this one. But I saw so many great looks with this one, and it's like considered a larger eyeshadow palette, but it's set up in a way where someone that gets overwhelmed quite fast, like me, can still look at this and feel less overwhelmed, and I can get creative, but not too creative because it's still a neutral brown tone palette. This one I've really been enjoying. It's a good formulation, good mattes, they blend out beautifully, and the shimmer specifically I've been really enjoying. So this row specifically this shade, I put all over my lids. The kind of scattered shimmer that this one gives is super beautiful. Unfortunately, it is limited edition. I don't know if you can still get this one, but I am really happy that I decided to pick this up for this year because I have been really enjoying this. So this is my bigger palette recommendation. And when I do go for eyeshadow palettes, I tend to go for these two because there are a lot of looks that I can make with this eyeshadow palette. Or I think the third time in a row, the the liner that I absolutely love for this year is another Sanica Gel liner by Victoria Beckham Beauty. You guys seem to like these as well, but Victoria Beckham Beauty came out with literally the best shade ever called Cinnamon. It's the shade that I have as a liner right now. It is a beautiful brown toned metallic shade. I love these. They're blendable. I have videos on these. I talk about these all the time. I don't want to rave on about it too much, but this shade Cinnamon is probably my favorite, my new favorite of all time. It has replaced my Cocoa because I have been going for much brighter looks. So therefore, a shade that is not that close to black like Cocoa is, it's just my preference. Beautiful, beautiful formulation. Absolutely adore it. Ooh, a category that I almost forgot about is brows. So another Victoria Beckham Beauty love for me was this brow pencil by Victoria Beckham Beauty. This one is called the Baby Blade in the shade Dark Brown. It's a microfine brow pencil. It comes with a spoolie on one side and the product on the other side. It is a microfine and it has a really nice teardrop tip. You can draw hair strokes with this one. It stays put for the entire day. You can fill in your brow. It blends out really easily. It is a good color for me, and it has replaced most of my retractable brow pencils. So I have been really enjoying this, and it beat out all of my other brow products that I tried this year. The brow gel that I want to recommend for this year is this one, the Legendary Brows by Charlotte Tilbury. I've been really on this brow gel kick. I have a few others in my collection that I'm testing out right now, but this is probably the one that I have used the most. It's very pigmented. It has a really microfine, brow brush that you can just brush all the hairs with. It's not the one that it's not like a gel that really stays put, but this is great for if your brows are kind of sparse. I have sparse areas right over here. I do have some brow hairs, and this kind of works like a mascara for the brows to just kind of let those hairs peek through. I've really been enjoying this combination, and I don't want my brows to do anything special, but I do want to enhance them, and that's what I get when I do this brow combination. Then finally for mascara, I couldn't pick a favorite, honestly. I have two favorites, and I keep going back and forth which one I like the most. I have the Victoria Beckham Beauty Fast Lash Mascara, and I have the I Want You Mascara by Westman Atelier. Both of these are super beautiful. On this side, I have Victoria Beckham Beauty, and you see it's very luminous and lengthening, and this is a tubing mascara. And if you want volume, I would go for the Victoria Beckham Beauty one. My one issue with this one is it's quite a heavy formula. It's a wet formula, and because it's wet, it can actually, it doesn't really maintain my curl. My curl just drops when I wear this one. So right now I didn't curl my lashes. I just put the mascara on as is, and this is kind of what it looks like. I have straight Asian eyelashes. This is a very beautiful mascara. It's easy to take off because it is a tubing mascara, I believe. It says you can take it off with warm water, so I'm gonna assume it's a tubing mascara. And I absolutely love the way that this wears. So a great option if you want more volume and length, and not a great option for curl. If you're gonna go for curl, then maybe the I Want You mascara by Westman & Hillary is a good one. This one does a really good job in separating your lashes. It has a different like wand. So this one is more of a spread out wand, whereas the Victoria Beckham Beauty one is a banana wand. And this one coats all the lashes individually and gives you a very natural look. This is much less of a wet formulation than the Victoria Beckham Beauty one, so it's also less messy when you apply it, and it actually holds a curl much better. Again, I didn't curl the lashes today. I just wanted you guys to see what these look like in their full glory. So you're still gonna get some volume and length, less volume, but more curl. So if you're into curly lashes, then the I Want You mascara by Westman & Hillary. Both of them wear beautifully. I would say that the Victoria Beckham Beauty wears the best. I can get sort of a gray cast if I use it on the bottom lashes. I can get sort of this gray cast from the Westman & Hillary one. I don't understand how that works. It's not like smudging either. It's sort of like a gray cast. But that's really after a long day of wearing them. So I think it's doable. Both of them are great outing for both of the brands. And finally, let's move on to the last category, which is lips. I have two lip liners that I absolutely enjoy this year, that I tried this year. My favorite one, I think, is this one by Chanel. This is the Nude Brun Longwear Lip Pencil, the Le Crayon Lip Pencil in shade 162. And this was like part of that Lily Rose Depth combination that I saw everywhere. If you're looking for a beautiful brown tone, but still kind of lip color liner, this is a great option. Has a little bit of rosiness in it, but it's still a very beautiful nude, and I have been wearing this a lot. Then if you're looking for a more affordable version of this, the Tower 28 multi-liner, the one liner in Work of Art, that's this one over here, is almost the same. They look so similar. So that is a great option if you're looking for a more budget-friendly option. Both of them, of course, since they're so similar, both of them I really enjoy. The Tower 28 is a very lightweight pencil. Both of them you have to sharpen. I think in terms of like long wearing, I think the Chanel was a little bit more longer wearing, but it's a great, dupe option if you're looking for a non-Chanel or non-luxury option. Then for lips, I have one lip balm, one lip oil, and one sort of like lip balm oil hybrid. So let's first talk about the lip balm. The Lily Rose Depth combo was the lip liner in the nude brune shade, and the boy lip color in the Cocoa Flash formulation, which is this almost taupey, very sheer coverage lip balm. A beautiful formulation. I really enjoy the Cocoa Flash formulation because it's so nourishing. It's a true balm. And I need a lot of help. As you can tell, I have a lot of texture, especially in the winter. Anything that can hydrate my lips, I love. For lip oil option, I think I like this one the most. I tried a ton of lip oils this year. It was hard for me to pick a favorite. You have the Tower 28, you have the Gisou. I tried a Vive one. I have the Rare Beauty ones. Like, the list goes on. I've tried so many. But I like the Dior one because it's so thick. It's just the thickest one out of all of them. It's not the most pigmented. So if you're gonna go for pigment, this is not the one for you. But if you're like me, you have a lot of lines, this one is a beautiful one to cover all your lip lines. I basically finished this, so you don't really see anything except for on the bottom, you see a little bit. I had mine in shade Rosewood, barely any pigment to it, but it's a beautiful lip oil option if you're looking for something to really hydrate your lips and really just, you really feel it on the lips. It's a thick formulation. If you're not into lip oils and not into lip balms, but you're looking for a nice hybrid product, I would say like very hyped up on TikTok formulation that I finally got to try this year was the Summer Fridays Lip Beauty Butter Balms, I believe they're called. I have mine in the shade Vanilla Beige. This is the one that I bought first. And this is a beautiful, good tinted lip balm gloss oil option. Again, very hydrating. And this one is way more pigmented. I love the applicator on this. The applicator is so soft. And I like the pigment in this. This is great for every single day. If you're like brown tones, the Vanilla Beige color is beautiful. You could throw this in your bag, whereas the Dior option, unfortunately, does leak in your bag. So I would only keep this like right side up. This one is travel friendly, good amount of pigment. good amount of nourishments. I actually think it's worth the hype because it has a lot of hype on TikTok, and enough so that I did purchase the clear one as well, as sort of like a end of the day, like night treatment. This is what I like to put on. So guys, these were all my recommendations for 2023. What do you guys think? Did I miss anything? Do you guys have any other recommendations? And yeah, let me know in the comment section down below. I want to thank you guys once again for just supporting me and being here and enjoying my content and engaging with me. Truly, without this community, I don't know, I think that my divorce would have been a lot more difficult. And I was able to really like use makeup as my therapy session. So yeah, this is a very interesting year for me, and I hope that 2024 has much more in store for me and like maybe better times. But in terms of a makeup year, I think this year I tried a lot of good makeup and it was really hard for me to pick a favorite. I love all of these products, but there are more products that I could have recommended for this year, but these were definitely the best that I tried. And if you're watching this and this was your first video from me, thank you for watching it all the way. I really enjoyed doing this video and doing this like final roundup. I have a playlist with all my favorite videos, so if you like favorite videos, you can still check that one out. I'll link everything down below in my affiliates, of course, like always. And for this time around, guys, I wish you guys the best of luck and the best of times, and I'll see you guys in next year. Bye!